Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of the 10th of December, or the week or so before that. And it includes sort of comic mart ones, also ones I bought on eBay, as well as Amazon and elsewhere. This is a lovely one. This is a fireside book, The Superhero Women by Stan Lee, and it features fabulous women. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't include all of them, and he actually includes at the end a list of ones he should have included as well, like Crystal, etc. Well, she's not in it, but you can see the ones on the cover there, Miss Marvel, Hela, etc. Hela's an odd choice. Personally, I would have thought Enchantress would have been a more obvious one. But it's really good. Still a great book. You've got obviously there Medusa, and Offer, Then Speak. Great stuff. Also, they could have done Gwen Stacy. They could have gone for a whole range of different women, couldn't they, for that? But you've got Red Sonja, really quite nice. The quality's really good quality. But it was part of a series of fireside books. There was the Bring On the Bad Guys, Son of Origins, also the Origins of Marvel Comics. And I think there was also there was a Battle one as well. And I've got quite a few of them now, slowly building them up again. I bought them at the time, got rid of them, but I thought, you know what? No, I never got this. Never bought this one. And so I was really pleased to see this at the Comic Mart. We got there Sue Storm. An unusual story because it's the Mole Man one, not really particularly an origin story. And these are not origins particularly, though there's some with origin stories. So you've got the Miss Marvel, but they don't include the covers, which is really strange. They've got a nice little introduction, but that's the thing. But they got Hela. I would have thought Enchantress would have been a more obvious choice. Or Sif. Though they've got Beware the Claws of the Cat. Of course, a lovely bit of Bollywood there. As well as the Wasp. Now, that is the origin story of the Wasp. This is not one. Fury of the Femizons. It actually is like to be continued. Never was, unfortunately. I don't know if they ever did any more stories at all. I think that was it. The one issue that was in Savage Tales. As well as Shana, the She-Devil. A tradition. Radio Times, the Christmas Radio Times. Very rarely buy the Radio Times any other time. Normally I get like the Daily Mail supplement, the lovely guide they've got there. Also what's on TV. And of course now, what's the point? Sometimes you think there's a TV guide on your computer, on your TV and everything else. So, and also a lot of it discussion in here about Netflix and various other ones. And of course, if you have the services, fine. You can go scroll through all the endless lists. But it's a good range of New Year's treats and things. It's always nice to just go through it and think, oh, yes, I'll watch that. Oh, I'll watch that. I'll watch that. And most of the time, I very rarely do. And then I end up watching other things that I generally don't read. But it's still a good little guide. Though I still think they could probably arrange it slightly better the way they've done it. But it does have some film reviews. You've obviously got the radio, which is actually, I sometimes find the radio section of more interest. Quite often I look and say, oh, that's good. That sounds an interesting show. I will listen to that. But still, it's nice to pick up the Radio Times Merry Christmas. This is not one. World's Greatest Comics Quiz. This is by Jerry Robinson, and it is full of questions as well as, of course, the answers. Luckily, because I got most of them wrong. It's all mainly like 60s and 70s, obviously, and earlier as well. So anything later, it doesn't include. I think it was like 78 it was printed. So it's got an introduction, of course, and then into the various questions. And it's really full of some really odd things like marriage. Now, marriage, maven, and arrange a match for the following lovers. And you've got a whole range of them. And I'm quite certain that many people probably know them. I certainly did not. I mean, who's Hairbreadth Harry? Harold Teen. Obviously, Archie, I've heard of him. Flash Gordon, Superman, Lester de Pesta, Martin Wesley, and so on. Now, some of them are really going to be obvious. Obviously, you've got here Sharon Carter. I think we can work that one out for, obviously, Captain America. Ellen Dolan, obviously, the Spirit. But there's some like here, like Mac. I don't know. You've also got, obviously, Phantom. You've got superhero section. What are the two things in the universe that Superman fears? Cancellation and maybe losing all his powers? No, it's not. There's probably a few things. Finding out about his real identity is probably one of them. And probably a certain substance. Though I don't know, it doesn't say. Who knows? Batman, Daredevil, I suppose those are the answers. Anyway, I don't know all the questions. Maybe actually what you could do, you could look at the answers and then try and work out what's going to be the question. And things like Invincible, amazing, probably the names, I'm guessing. But even that you can't really rely on anymore because now, is it the Amazing Spider-Man or is it the Spectacular Spider-Man, the Invincible Spider-Man, the Superior Spider-Man, the Super Spider-Man? I don't know. But still, back in 77, it was the Amazing Spider-Man. And of course you've got a section here, Superman. Who was the writer-artist team who created Superman? I think I know that one, just about. Who was Superman's parents? Where was the superhero born? I think I know that one as well. But there are lots of questions in here that actually I have no idea. I mean, especially things gets into like Terry and the Pirates and things and various characters. I couldn't give a name for those. Who was the cartoonist who succeeded Caniff on the Terry and the Pirates? Okay, I don't know. But still, I absolutely love this. I mean, if you want to spend many, many hours going thinking, oh, I can challenge myself with questions, it's like ones where you get the Doctor Who quizzes or something and you think, oh, yeah, I know Doctor Who back to front. And then you start doing it and thinking, I don't really listen. Anyway, but this is a lovely little book. I picked this up reasonably cheaply and it was just great to get. I love this one, Sky High. I love buildings and I love this sort of sketchy drawing style that's this book is done in. It's really, really, really good. And the buildings are just great fun. Just saw it. It was £5 cost, but it's a sort of book I just absolutely love. It's not obviously a comic book in terms of a traditional comic book, but it does tell a story, and you've got all the various stories with the buildings and all the building construction of. I would have loved this when I was younger. I must admit, I love it now. So it's just as good. It really is great. Very inventive, and lots of wonderful tall buildings and all the various construction. I'm not certain that would be very practical. Probably wouldn't get past health and safety, I suspect, but still. You have to do that. I guess some of these other things, actually, that guy on that, that's not very, but it does look good. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, you know what, that is a book for me. Never heard of it before, but what a great look. This is Dave's Comics. I don't know. I think the table that I bought them from must be Dave's Comics, but I wouldn't know. You can't beat the good old 50p or whatever bins in Comic Marts. At Comic Mart, you got here Giant Dark Horse Presents Annual. That's about, isn't it? Giant Dark Horse Presents Annual. And it was issue 56. God, did they produce 56 of these annuals? I've never seen one ever. Anyway, I thought I'd buy it mainly for this. The Origin of the Next Men Team Continue. And it's obviously got other stories as well. Yeah, it's all in black and white. Quite decent little stories. And it's just nice. Really, these sort of things I love buying just on the train. Coming back home, I think, oh, you know what, I can sit and read all those. And it's very enjoyable little yarns, very unusual. Some are very unusual, but also it's got some Frank Miller as well, which is always good, of course. It's got good old Sin City. Great film. Love that. As well as, of course, the book itself. Yeah, it's good old Sin City. Now, I assume I never collected Sin City. I haven't got a collection. I have read it over the years, but I've never bought any collections of it. Probably haven't. There's probably lots of other parts of the story that's gone on since, for all I know. But still, I love these sort of little annuals and a decent thing for, like, say, 50p. Will Eisner's Quarterly 5. I love this series. I've got about 4 issues now. I think there was in total 8. But still, I think what an unusual issue. It was probably a magazine that probably was never going to work. Obviously a great experiment, but still, I wish it had. I wish they had continued on and produced many, many more. But what's in it? Well, you've got this lovely story here that's been in all of the ones, I think they were in every issue. But you've got that. So, Survival, Chapter 11. Some really brilliant Will Eisner work. I think his later work was infinitely brilliant. Just superb, superb, superb. Also, a lovely little bit of history of before Will Eisner marched to war, some civilian details needed attention, a complaining publisher, putrid features, gruesome dailies, etc. That's a really good little article. And a lovely bit of a hit comics. Some spirit, and even more spirit. And a little bit of colour. Contract with God, absolute masterpiece. And some lovely adverts at the back. There you've got the complete E.C. Seeger, Popeye, Prince Valiant, and then Nemo. I haven't seen copies of Nemo for ages, actually. Must look out for some of those. This is another lovely one, Gasoline Alley. Well, most of the stories are actually fairly modern. Not that modern, but certainly some of the early ones in the book are all from like 1935. But there's loads of ones all the way through to 1945. And then it slightly changes after that. And you get to a sort of more modern period. Relatively modern. But these are just great little stories. I absolutely love this. Absolutely beautiful book. Related to it, well, not that related to it, but still, sort of newspaper strip, Little Orphan Annie. I picked this one up at the Comic Mart and, well, it weighs a ton. 1935 to 1945. And it's just full of some really great, wonderful Little Orphan Annie strips. Oops. Probably ripped the book by as well. So you can see it's a variety of things all the way through 1938 to 1945. A slightly more unusual one, Fashion Drawing. But this is by Francis Marshall, and he's done a load of books. Of course, they're all mainly 1940s, 1950s, very early ones, certainly ones that were in magazines, and a lot of the magazines that I really love reading. So I thought, as soon as I saw listing about Francis Marshall, I thought I must get this book because it's got a lot of details about sort of early magazines and illustrations, of course, in those magazines. So certainly a very enjoyable read. Probably one of my favourite magazines, Infinity number 67. Well, obviously Infinity. The issue number 67 it's got Dune. It's also got Smash Comics, The Wombles, X-Files, Models, and so much, much more. A really good read as well. Some really lovely articles that I won't go into this, but I will just quickly show you things like here. Sweet Memories, excellent, with all the different Twixes, marathons, of course, before they became Snickers. Also, you've got this lovely introduction with news and Smash. Love the Smash magazine. Smash, Pow, Wham, all excellent. This was pretty good. Fanzine book, Tomorrow People, and of course, Douglas Adams. The Douglas Adams one, the 42 one, a lot easier to find. But he was talking about all the various books that are coming out at the moment, and he mentions a few books that are apparently coming out fairly soon that might be of interest, certainly probably to me. And this is the complete look-in comics one, this one, but very hard to find. I did actually find one at the Comic Mart. I think it was about £50, and I thought, that's probably a bit too much. But still, it was quite interesting reading about all the, obviously the internet, books and access to bookstores, etc. One thing I really love about this, middle pages, got some great posters. I don't know if anyone puts them up on the walls, but they are really, really good. And this one, of course, Star Wars. Also, some reviews of $6 Million Man. I've been enjoying those. I've been watching them on, I think it's Legend Extra. And it's good, very good. Not all, some are terrible. I record them so I can whiz through them. I think, oh, that's okay, that story's good. Oh, that one's maybe not so good. But some, I think, definitely. I was wondering if they'll put Barnet Woman on at some point. Maybe that's already been on. I don't know. It's probably tucked away on some obscure channel. Make It So, a memoir from Patrick Stewart. All about Dune. And probably my favourite article, Mr. Creasy. I love these books. Gideon's Day, Gideon's Night, Gideon's Week, Gideon's whatever. There was loads and loads of these books there. Gideon's Day there. They were just brilliant. I always think, why? Why are they not available? You can find them in second-hand bookstores all over the place. But I don't think they've been bringing out that many of modern releases of them. Though perhaps, I think there's he was talking about here about Kindles. Or obviously digital releases, so maybe they're more available that way, I don't know. But still, apparently on johncreasybooks.com. But he created millions of books, the Toff and all those sort of ones. I think they were just brilliant. And I love this one, The Wombles, Jack and Jill, The Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 2, Taschen Library book. Wow, it's a real massive, chunky book. Now, I can't really hold it for long, actually, it's so heavy. I really wish they would sort of gone for a slightly lighter format. Maybe actually comic book size would have been really nice. But this is a huge volume. It's got a brilliant introduction. You've got lots and lots of ink pages, lots of fine articles and discussion about Spider-Man. But it is heavy. Also includes quite a bit of Ditko, like the mysterious suspense. It gives us sort of idea about possibly the stories he might have done, like the Blue Beetle, sort of an idea for like Captain Atom. But we actually get to the comics, and of course, they're just superb. Really high quality, best possible comics you probably could ever find. And I think they just look amazing. The paper quality is superb. And of course, the Scorpion. And the Beetle. And Princess Python. And lots of adverts. And of course, the classic one, where Spidey goes mad. As well as being captured by Jonah Jameson. And we got the Green Goblin as well. And of course, you've got the classic, The Final Chapter. And a guy called Joe. It also includes the second annual as well. I love these books. Graphis Posters 83. They're quite hard to find. They're very expensive generally. I picked this up very cheaply in my local Oxfam store. So as soon as you see this sort of book, you think, yes, I must have it. Probably not for everyone, but I love these ones because they're basically a snapshot of the 80s, 81, 82, that sort of period. Obviously, these were done before 83. So you can see there, or I don't know whether it was printed actually in 84 and it's all the material from that, but it's that sort of period. And you can see it's just got lots and lots of great posters. Personally, I prefer the other books where they actually show all the black books, all the adverts, the TV programmes, those sort of things of a particular year. But this one, just lovely. absolutely great one. You can see all the various posters that obviously were at that period, and some more fine examples as well. There you can see what I paid, £1.99. Brains and Beauty. What was that? Olivetti, good old Olivetti. I don't think I've ever used one actually. Used a Commodore PET. That was my earliest computer I ever used. This is an unusual book. I love Krazy Kat. George Herriman. And this book is a classic from the golden age of comics. Now this is a reprint of an earlier book, but it's still pretty decent. And it's got some lovely pages, lovely of artwork, all the way through, some colour, as well as, of course, blue and white, not black and white for some weird reason. Most odd, but still, really, really good book. And the Super Adventure Annual. Now, this is 1965 to 66, and it's got Superman, Jimmy Olsen, Aquaman, Tommy Tomorrow, as well as Green Arrow and Speedy, Detective Chimp, and The Flash. It's quite odd. I always love the way it's not done in the usual colours, of course. It's really quite strange when you see it like this. Here's Tommy Tomorrow. Also Homer, even though he doesn't get a mention on the front cover. Good old Jimmy Olsen story. And Ward and Willis. Also got some nice Aquaman and Aqualad stories. Fantastic fish that defeated Aquaman. Some Detective Chimp. Got quite a few annuals, and I think this is a really quite nice one. Though I must admit my favourite will always be the Marvel Annual 1972 one. I always think 72, 73, that sort of period. It probably never be beat, though there's a well-distributed one, Marvel Annual, that just came out a couple of years before, which I must admit I thoroughly enjoy as well. This one I will be doing a proper review at some point. I really won't be going through it too much in this because this is probably the greatest book that I've got in my entire collection. I absolutely love this. The Art of Dave McKean. Now this is brilliant. This is volume 2. I must admit I prefer volume 1 probably to volume 2, but they're both equally masterpieces. They weigh a ton. They are just full of some of the greatest art ever. If you're a fan of Dave McKean, I mean, this is a must buy. It's just full of just great sort of articles by him, and it's just, wow, lots of photos, lots and lots of. It's very odd the way he's done it. And this one may be slightly hard to show in this case. But the other one, it's got the pages of all the various books he's created, but in small. So you've got like 4 pages sort of stuck in it, which is slightly odd, but still brilliant. And you've got loads of things like all the various exhibitions he's done. I've seen a few exhibitions, but didn't get to that one, unfortunately. I would have loved to have been to that one. Actually, volume 1 seems to be even heavier, actually. Here's volume 1. The cover is a bit odd, but still, doesn't matter. But it's just great. I absolutely loved every bit of this. I will be spending many, many years studying through this because it's just amazing. Actually, it's got, let's go right to the front. It's even better to show the front. It's got, now, of course, Mr. Punch, probably my favourite. I love Mr. Punch, but I love all the photos as well of Dave McKean there. Oh, there's the contents. I was actually going backwards and forwards trying to find it. I was thinking, where is it? I'm certainly near the front. But you've got the comics, comic covers, children's books, and of course you've got Black Dog and many others there. You see what I mean? It's really odd the way he's done it. You've got obviously pages, individual pages, 4 of them on a page. And then you've got Cages. I love Cages. Caligero. Now, I haven't actually seen that book. It's got quite a few books and things mentioned in there, I think. I've never seen that. And you've got, of course, Sandman as well. Now, the one that really surprised me was this one, Pictures That Tick, Volume 3. Just thought, wow, I've never seen Volume 3. I've got Volume 1 and Volume 2. And looking online, there is no Volume 3 at all. He did mention it. I went to Cranbrook Library, mentioned about this book coming out at some point, collaborations, and he's got the pages in there. I would love to see that book. I will definitely buy it if it comes out. And there's a few other ones as well. You just think, But still, he has produced so much over the years. It's just a staggering amount. And not only that, it's in this absolutely glorious slipcase. Just great. Absolutely love it. Though I must admit, we struggle to get the things back in again. But still, I think it's just great. I must admit, I love stained glass. So as soon as I saw this book, I thought, yes, the first comprehensive illustrated guide to the world's best stained glass. It's full of some great stained glass all the way through. And, well, I just love looking at this stuff. It's just great. Whenever you go to churches, I spend all my time looking up at all these sort of things. And it's just, I mean, look at it, just glorious. The story's told, absolutely amazing. And another one as well. They're all just superb. The Planet of Vampires. Now, this is an Atlas Comics. I really enjoyed it. I got near enough every single one of the Atlas Comics. I've got rid of most of them now. So this one I just picked up. I thought, no, why not? And I think this was one of the last ones they produced. And one of the series that I thought, wish they would continue, because I just loved Planet of Vampires. Planet of Vampires, I should say, not the vampires. The weird thing is, right at the end, you've got here, Secret Project. Yes, the Secret Project was, there was no issue 4. That was it. Finish, finito. And of course, you've got the letters pages you've got here coming from Atlas. You've got Phoenix, Ironjaw. They all finished. Such a sad. I'm certain that Atlas Comics could have been really amazing if they just continued with it. They just obviously stopped. That was it. I did enjoy this. Recently, I got Silver Sable and the Wild Pack. And I've got none comics of this character. And I thought, well, I'll pick this one up. Annoyingly, it's the same issue as I've actually got in a book about all, I think it was Women of Marvel or something. And I thought, oh, Silver Sable, can't say I know much about her. And then I obviously thought, I'll pick this up. And it's exactly the same story, but still a great little issue. And I loved the embossed cover. What a great embossed cover there. Really does, unfortunately, sort of ends up if you sort of angle it right. Bit intense. This is a great little book. Doug Wilder's Rio. Now, the book is The Complete Saga. I must admit, I didn't know much about it, but I'd seen a few things online and I thought, oh, I must find that. And some lovely artwork all the way through. Now, I'm not keen on some of the later coloured artwork. I have to say, it looks a bit sort of rough, and some great illustrations as well. Actually, starts to look a bit like Alex Toth, actually, in many ways. There's certain parts of it that have got that sort of style. And some more coloured pages there. I love they also include this as well. Some penciled pages. You've got obviously the colour there. And then a pencil, bit of penciled. Not a huge section in the bonus section at the back, but still pretty decent. New Warriors Annual. Now, I bought this generally because I thought, got to have something to read on the way home on the train. I don't like generally reading all the books on the train. So a comic book is always great to thumb through. This is a good little story. The New Warriors, a lovely little annual there. King of Pain. Unfortunately, part 2. I didn't notice that when I saw it. Always the way when you pick these things up. I really don't know much about New Warriors. Obviously, you've got Speedball, Namorita, etc. But some of the other characters I'm not particularly familiar with. But there's a story there. You can get the Sphinx at the back as well. And a bit of Spidey. And Diamond Head and a few other characters. I was over the moon to get this, though. Criminal, Volume 2, Deluxe Edition, Volume 2. It's been out of print for ages. I do not know why. But weirdly, they brought out Volume 1. And then Volume 3, obviously, as well. But then Volume 2, never released. I've never saw it. Maybe it's come out since. I don't know. But for quite a while, I was thinking, Volume 2, where is it? Why can't you get Volume 2? And it was crazily priced. And I thought, well, this one, picked up for £10. And I was like, over the moon. I thought, yes. Now, I've got, I think, all of the stories. I think I might be missing the odd story in the criminal thing. So it's really great to get the complete run of stories. I love Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips' work. Just absolutely amazing. So this is just a great volume to pick up. This one, The Last of the Innocent. I mean, what a great blue face. That is just absolutely staggering, isn't it? I love these little sections as well. Riley's Girls, Felix and Lizzie. And this does include a great selection of bonus material at the back. You've got these essays as well. I must admit, not particularly essays. They're actually the pictures that probably were included with the essays. Unfortunately, the essays are not included. That would be nice. And another character. As it's Christmas time, you can't beat a good old A Christmas Carol. And I love that it says A Christmas Carol, not The Christmas Carol. Now, you've got here Manura, I guess that's how you say it, a ghost story. And instead of the obviously usual Ebenezer Scrooge, you've got another Scrooge. Now, the story does, of course, follow the usual. It's got 3 ghosts, but Elizabeth, of course, is not your average Scrooge. She's quite an intense character, and it doesn't really work in the same way at the end. I absolutely loved it because of that. It would have been really terrible if they had brought out an exact copy of The Christmas Carol. And the artwork is absolutely superb. I just love this book. It's not too expensive, really worth picking up. This one, A Christmas Carol, a ghost story. I'm a keen fan of Archie comics. I've got quite a few, but not as many as I would like, I must admit, of this format. Many of the ones I've got are the digest formats, as well as, of course, the various collections, and they're huge, sometimes like 1,000-page ones. Great, because they're full of great stories, but I actually like to see them in the original comics. And this one is a pep comic. Now, I think this is about 1965, that sort of period. I think it is. Yes, 1965, September 65, issue 185. They got so many of these comics. But it's just great. It's got you've got their little Jinx character. You've also got a good old Archie one there, of course, there where he's sort of talking about the music. Can I come along, and plays the music, and of course, you know what's going to happen with Betty at the end. And also you've got Betty and Veronica, summer fun. And you've got Archie trying to outdo Reggie. Actually, I'm watching at the moment, there's on Netflix, an Indian Archie comics one, Riverdale one, whatever you want to call it. And that's quite good. It's unusual. I haven't watched all of it yet, so I don't know how it finishes. But so far, it's got all the usual characters, and it's quite watchable. About Joe Orlando and his Daredevil work, and I suddenly thought, you know what? Of course, he did lots of work for EC, and by coincidence, they were bringing a book out, The Planetoid and Other Stories, illustrated by Joe Orlando, and it's really great. Now, I've got the Russ Cochran books, got most of them, and of course, the stories are spread throughout all those. But in this case, you just get a lovely essay about Joe Orlando, as well as, of course, lots of the stories. Now, I think there are other stories in other books, because there's about 30 odd now. There's quite a lot of these ones. I don't know how many more there are to go. So they may continue for another 10 or 15 volumes, who knows. But it's full of some great science fiction. A Man's Job, The Big Stand-Up, Strictly Business. And this is really unusual because most of the volumes, I don't think any of the other volumes, have gone for this approach. This is the complete issue of weird science fantasy. I might even get it right. This is issue number 26, The Flying Saucer Report. So you've got the actual story, as well as some of the adverts, well, all of the adverts, in fact, at the back. A little bit more about Joe Orlando, as well as the ups and downs of EC Comics. And here's the current list of all the Fantagraphics EC Artist Library. You can see there coming soon, The Bitter End and Other Stories. Now, I think I've got that on order as well. Reed Crandall, one of my favourite artists. Also now available, The Unwanted, and of course other ones as well. I love picking up books and comics from various publishers. I must admit, Pines Comics, I haven't got many. I don't think I've got any, in fact. So this one piqued my curiosity. And you can see it's got a little bit of detail there about Pines Comics, presented to Pines Comics for a distinguished public service to American youth by publishing comics, etc., etc. Now, the story here, you obviously it looks very similar to a certain character. I'm not going to mention any character. And you've got another one, obviously, there. Dinky, who I must admit I've never heard of. This was Terry Toons, 1958. There's not many adverts in this. It's basically just full on, basically 8 of panels each and every page, and some more cat and mouse action. And also on the back page as well. This is an odd one. John Carter from Mars. I really love the John Carter stories. The Black Pirates of Omeen. Now, I've got all the Marvel ones, also the DC ones, but Gold Key, I've got this one. That's it. Gold Key. I haven't got many Gold Key comics either. Gold Keys are really quite weird. They never seem to have any adverts or anything. No advertising for any of their books either. So you go through it, you wouldn't know that there's any other Gold Key books. So you've got obviously the story, but that's it, which is fine, of course, but it's just odd when you just flick through it and you think, well, it's bound to be a little sort of break in the story somewhere. But no, there's absolutely no break at all. In fact, it doesn't even give particularly any information about the artist or anything about the character. So it's just really odd. You've got some detail just down there, obviously a job code, but that's about it. I love these ones. Marvel Collector Item Classics. They're excellent. Now, you've got the Fantastic Four, obviously issue number 15, and you've also got Tales of Suspense there. I love that story. The Melter, good old Melter. I don't know why they didn't go with all the covers in this one, but for some weird reason they didn't, because normally they would have like 4 covers. But this one, they obviously dropped that by issue 10. I don't know. Anyway, I always love this little section. I always wonder who drew those little things you've got there. Iron Man battles the Melter. Hands off. That's a good story as well. Mad Thinker and his awesome android. Not one of the best of the Fantastic Four stories at that time, but still quite a decent one. It's got quite an interesting sort of what I would do with this and that. Characters obviously can see there. You've got the Thing busting through. Electronic hypno ray. Why don't you just use it with the Fantastic Four as well? Wouldn't that have been easier? No, too easy. But of course, plans never work out for the Mad Thinker. And then you've got the Melter. Now, nothing can stand in the way of the Melter. Don't think that's going to last very long, but still, of course, he does get stopped. But he does turn up, of course, in the Avenger comics. I don't know if he turns up anymore. I haven't seen the Melter for ages. Maybe he just decided, you know what, I can make more money using my invention for actually good uses instead of melting things. And there he is, obviously, the Iron Man, just holding all that. I'm not certain why, but he's holding some things. He's clearing the factory up, I assume. And you've got here the Watcher, and he's looking around, and he sees various events, various things go flying off here, and he thinks, should I stop it at that point? Should I stop that? Should I? And of course, I'm not going to spoil the story, but you can guess what happens at the end. This is great. I love these ones. Marvel Collector Item Classics. They're really a good way of reading a lot of these great stories, especially things like where is it now? I, of course, can't find it. Here it is. The good old Hulk story, the Toadman. That issue would be very expensive to read, but at least in here, you can actually read it, and it's not in glossy. That's the thing. Of course, you can read it in the omnibus, the epics, but here you can actually read the story as it probably was close to the release copy. This is one of my sort of why did I buy it kind of ones. Yeah, I really love the Eerie publications. I've got a few over the years I picked up, and I was reading about, well, actually I wasn't reading, it was a video. I think it was Cartoon Kayfabe. They were showing all the covers. It was a cover book, and I looked for the cover book, and I thought, that's a bit expensive, so I didn't go for that. But I noticed this, the index, this is fine, but it's very odd. You've got horror tales, terror tales, tales of voodoo, tales from the tomb, witch's tale. I think that was about it for the era. You can see the complete list there. And you've got the Morris pages, the Ajax Farrell Index, New Art Index, art by artists, obviously going for the whole thing. But the only thing slightly it's a bit annoying, that they go for this. They just put the information, which is fine, of course. It gives details of all the things, strange fantasy, where they came from, haunted thrills, voodoo, etc., etc. But it would have been really nice. There's a lot of blank space here. Why didn't they just put the black and white cover? You know, on your small little thumbnail or something. I knew there was a cover somewhere. Tales from the Crypt. Sounds very similar to another title, doesn't it? Tales from the Crypt. And you can see all the various stories included. Most of them like voodoo, it seems. And of course, many of these stories are public domain ones. And you can find them, of course, in those lovely PS art books. And you've got more terror tales there. But it's just really pages and pages of lots and lots of information. As well as some pretty gruesome stuff. My only moan about these, I think quite often, the Amazon printing. Look at that warping. That's pretty bad. I only just got it. It's pretty warped. I don't know what happens. It's really odd. That's got such a warp all the way through that. In many ways, I prefer to get it in hardback. Quite often I get questions saying, do you buy books that you think, oh, why did I buy that? Well, probably this one. Actually, this is a really lovely book. It's in German, but I thought it was going to be slightly different from this. I mean, it's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I thought it was going to be like this sort of picture, where you can see the painted designs, obviously, that were used in the original sculptures. The guy that wrote this has created lots and lots of these reconstructions of all the colours that are used on the statues. And I thought, wow, that is amazing. I've seen lots of pictures online, but for some weird reason, there was no catalogue for that exhibition. And I thought, wow, that would be great. And I saw this, and I thought, maybe there's going to be information. And the picture sort of suggested that there was going to be sort of lots of things. So I went ahead and bought it. Unfortunately, it is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's got some great pictures all the way through it. So I can't read it because it's in German. But unfortunately, it does actually just show, obviously, the sculptures. Which is nothing wrong with those because they're absolutely amazing. But it still wasn't exactly what I thought. I thought it was going to be sort of them all colourised. Horrible way of saying it, colourised, like Doctor Who. Actually, that was one I did enjoy recently. Doctor Who and the Daleks, they did a colour version of that, and that was amazing. Really, really weird. I mean, I loved those first episodes of Doctor Who. Well, it wasn't the first one, it was the second story with the Daleks. But it was just near enough a revelation just seeing it again in a sort of like completely new light in obviously colour. And also they trimmed a lot of because a lot of the story was, there was a lot of dragged a bit in places. And, well, sometimes people probably say the same about my videos. But still, there's, lots of pottery here, but it's also got lots of all these lovely paintings of people standing around looking at sculptures. But it does have some colour. I mean, look at that. Just beautiful, isn't it? But there, you've got these statues. I mean, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it, seeing them like that? Of course, over the years, it's lost all its colour, but it would be really staggering to see them instead of like that. Well, that's it. A run through of all the various books I bought over the last couple of weeks. I think there's some really decent books. I mean, the Dave McKean one, I have been waiting for ages and ages, and I was over the moon to get it because it's just the best book. If you're a fan of Dave McKean's art, you just have to have that book. Quite a people, I've noticed on the Facebook, I'm a member obviously of the fans of Dave McKean, and quite a people say, oh, is this book good? This book is just staggeringly brilliant. I think it's just really the best. I really hope he does bring out Pictures That Tick Volume 3 though at some point. That would be stunning. And of course the Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2 Taschen book. I mean, that is an amazing book as well. I've got the omnibus, of course, but I actually really love to see it in that original form though of course slightly oversized. I really wish they would bring it out in an actual comic size version. I don't know why they decided to go for that huge size. It does make it very impractical to actually store as well as actually walk around and actually read them. As ever, I thoroughly enjoyed the Comic Mart. The Comic Mart was absolutely brilliant. However, for some weird reason, the next Comic Mart is ages off. It seems to be stretching further and further. I don't know how many now we get. I think it's about 5 or 6. I don't know. One time it felt like there were comic conventions all the time. You think in London, they would be able to run a comic convention near enough every week. Surely there's enough comic book fans that would be, maybe of course it could be the dealers themselves. Maybe they wouldn't want to go and do that each and every week. But it would be nice to actually have a few more than we got. I mean, book fairs, there's loads of book fairs, loads of various other book fairs. But for some weird reason, comics just don't seem to get that, which is odd. I really love the comic fair, and I hope they continue. One thing I did enjoy, been enjoying the Doctor Who. Didn't enjoy the first one. The first one I thought was pretty rubbish, to be honest. The second one was a big improvement. I really enjoyed that Edge of the Universe story. That was, well, it was odd. It was odd. I wouldn't say it was perfect, but it was very enjoyable. And I really thoroughly enjoyed the giggle, even though the surprise ending and everything, which was a big surprise to me. I did not know that was going to happen. Obviously, now everyone knows it's happened. And I just think, I wonder if they're going to just produce lots and lots of things. Maybe they could like wheel in sort of Tom Baker again. Obviously, they can't do John Pertwee. That would be a bit tricky, wouldn't it? But Peter Davison, all these actors, they could bring them all back and let's have like thousands of different spin-off series. Why not? They could do a load of them. Of course, everyone will turn around and say, the standard's dropping. Well, hopefully that will not happen. But it's still, of course, a lot of people, I know lots of the comments have been saying, oh, it was terrible, it was this and that. I didn't think it was. I thought it was very, and I really loved the end bit. I always felt that Doctor Who really should have that sort of scene where you sort of like, without again spoiling the ending. I think that just the final scene, the sort of things that quite often in comics they have. And they're my favourite comics, the ones where you have those stories where everyone's sort of just relaxing. Instead of always having the Daleks chasing you, always having the Cybermen chasing you or whatever. I did feel that the Celestial Toymaker bit was a bit sort of rushed, the end bit. For something that was like a super powerful being, he sort of like really sort of, you know, at one point he was really sort of wow, he could do anything. And then mysteriously sort of like, he sort of lost that sort of felt, went a bit flat at that point. So I don't know. That was just, maybe that's my opinion. I mean, I guess maybe lots of people probably loved it. And maybe they might, who knows? Maybe he'll come back. He is, of course, an entire universe of his own creation. Maybe at some point we will see another Celestial Toymaker, maybe. Or, of course, the obvious one, I'm quite certain that the Master and all those characters will be coming back at some point. It can't be far off. And, of course, we've now got this idea about there's some other being that's more powerful. Of course, it's going to turn out, we all know it's going to turn out to be Russell T Davies. Is obviously the power that the Doctor cannot face. That would be a twist at the end of the story, wouldn't it? Suddenly he opens up and realises he's actually part of a story and Russell T Davies is sitting there writing the story to play. You know, no, that would be too cliche, wouldn't it? That would be a really terrible end. Actually, that sort of end I would probably do. But still, I have been enjoying it anyway. Have you been enjoying it? Did you enjoy Doctor Who? And also the books. That's, of course, the main thing about talking about this. Did you go to the Comic Mart as well? Did you enjoy the Comic Mart? Are you going to any other Comic Marts? Any book fairs? Also, Forbidden Planet, gosh, please put some book requests for review. Any of the ones you've seen in this video, please let me know if you actually want a proper book review of them. Because, of course, I will be doing the Dave McKean one. Without a shadow of doubt, because it's just the best book. But I don't even think I can give it really justice. You know, I mean, it's an impossible book to review because it is so amazing. I mean, it's just like, wow. I don't think I've ever seen an art book so showing a career in such a way. It's just, wow. He really has produced something that is super special. I really hope it's a mega success. Anyway, bye.